Welcome to Remembering Your Oneness with Xane Daniel and Monika Kupiec, where we know everything, and so do you. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello, ma'am. We were just talking. It feels like it was 2 weeks ago that we did this the last time.
Mm-hmm. Feels like it's been a while. It feels like even a month or a year. I don't know why.
It's really strange.
An eternity.
Right. Normally it's like, oh my gosh, we're back again. And it's
like it was way too soon for us to do another one. But now it's where has the time gone?
Yeah, it's the reverse this time. A year has passed since the last time we did this, and that year came in the form of 7 days. But I've done 2 videos. I've released 2 videos since the last one. So that's part of it. For me, it's the fact that I drove here because now, previously I was in San Francisco and now I'm in Portland, which is a 10-hour drive, taken over a couple of days, big transition. I'm in a new place, like inside again. I'm not in the van. So, there are lots of things have happened for me, which normally, when there's lots of things happening, time goes faster. So I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm surprised. For me, it felt like it was way too quick. Like, I don't even remember what I did on Monday or Tuesday. Like yesterday when I realized it was Wednesday, I was like, already? Like,
yeah.
How is this possible?
Yeah. But yet it feels like we haven't done this in a long time. Which also doesn't make sense. So our perception of time is continuing to warp and change. I mean, that is part of the experience of moving into the 4th dimension, because at the 5th dimension, there is no such thing as time, right? So there's no everything happens simultaneously, and we can kind of, from the 5th dimension, I feel like we can kind of like pay attention to time if we want to, or we can avoid it completely if we want to. So we're still 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So I think that this 4th dimensional time is one where it feels really warped and strange, and you have no idea. You have no idea what it's going to be. It's going to be fast or slow or any of that.
It's an interesting take on it. I didn't never thought of the concept of time playing with the dimensions.
Oh my gosh, massively. And like after the 5th, it doesn't exist at all. Like there's no understanding almost. It's inaccessible because you're looking at everything happening simultaneously. The infinite now is all that exists. And you are in an infinite state where we're here in the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. We have an expiration date, right, in these incarnations, but higher than that, we don't. We're just there, infinitely. And so the idea that, has humanity, or will humanity make it to those higher dimensions? The majority of us in the lightworker community believe that we will, for sure. And if that's true, then we've always been there. Because once we get to that higher dimension where there is no time, then there is never a before and an after. And so once we get there, we will have always been there. So what we're doing right now is we're revisiting the transition just so that we can experience that transition.
Well, then do you think that the idea of procrastination comes in because we are delaying our time to get there?
Right. Oh man, yeah, procrastination is, wow. I can always count on you to bring in the segue into our topics. But that one is a hard one for me to wrap my head around at the moment. Like, can procrastination have anything at all to do with our perception of time? But procrastination requires a time element, right? You're saying that I should or want to be doing something right now, and I am choosing or finding it difficult to bring up the energy to do it right now. And so I choose not to do it right now. And the problem with procrastination, of course, is then we punish ourselves for not doing the thing that we want to be doing right now. That's really the worst part of it all. Because
almost,
if you're okay with not doing it, then fine, relax, enjoy. But when you hate yourself essentially for not doing it, then you're not doing it and you're making yourself miserable about it.
Yeah. It's almost like because we have this, this time frame in a way that we know that there is an end. It's like we prolong it by not doing what we're supposed to do in a way. Or even like if you say that in the other dimensions that there is no time, I wonder if procrastination even exists there, is because you're really just living in the moment and you're just living in the present, or you're just doing what you're supposed to do in a way. It's really fascinating. Right. Very fascinating concept, like to think about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for our poor little 3D minds, it's a little hard for us to understand. But yeah, there would not be essentially procrastination when there is no time.
Because even when I recall like doing ayahuasca or like DMT, like I don't remember ever like thinking like, oh, what's next or what's going to happen in a way. It was more of just really just feeling it or living it and just being so total in it. And it's not even having that idea of like, oh wait, I don't need this vision right now. Like, let me just like postpone this. Like, give me a couple seconds to comprehend this. It was more of like, it just kept going and going and going. Like, obviously when I came back to my body, I was like, oh my God, like, don't give me another one. But like once you're actually under the ayahuasca, like, or under the DMT, it's like you don't have that thinking mind anymore. You don't have that like doubt, or you don't have the sense of, wait, just give me a moment to process this. Give me a couple days and I'll get back to it.
Right. Yeah, totally. Oh, and Onion Man says hello, and it's great. Now I know who Onion Man is, and he's in my class.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it's wonderful to see Onion Man. Welcome.
Put a face. Do you see all your students? It's a face, like you see everyone, or is it more?
Yeah. We do it in Zoom. So now I have a face to put with the name.
I don't, but that's okay.
No, that's all right. You should just come into my class one time and say hello to everyone, right? Like you should. Yeah, his secret identity is revealed. That's great. You should just come into my class and like, hey, everybody.
Xane talks about you, but I don't know any of you.
Right? Yeah, that'd be fun. You'd be a guest speaker in my class. So to go back to kind of like you were bringing in the DMT and ayahuasca aspects of time, it's really interesting because one of the things that I noticed when I was kind of dabbling with cannabis a few years ago, it was, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can really have a time change when you have, a higher dose of cannabis, right? So the perception of time can really change. Things can slow way down. And like, okay, you've watched a movie, right, while you're experiencing that. And maybe it's an older movie where the editing is different than when we do it now. Now, when there's editing in a movie, it's like one person talks, next person talks, next person talks. Like there's no delay. But sometimes in older movies, there's this long delay between, what are we going to do now? And then someone says, I know, so during that gap of time between people speaking, if you have a higher dose of cannabis, you go, oh my gosh, what's he going to say? What's happening here? And like, you can go through so many thoughts and so many predictions about what's happening. And then the next person speaks and you're like, oh, that's what he said. Okay, now what's going to happen, right? And it can really, and I think that's because it seems like brain speed has increased. So you are able to process more thoughts. It's like when you're getting into an accident, right? So you here comes you realizing, I am pushing on the brakes, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to stop because the road is wet and I'm continuing to slide. And boy, I sure hope I'm going to be able to stop. I'm continuing to press on the brake button. Oh, I wonder how badly I'm going to hit that car. Hopefully everything's going to be okay. I hope nobody's going to get hurt. Like, you can go through all these thoughts and it's like that, right? Like you've had a complete breakdown of the entire situation. You're imagining your trip to the hospital. Like, you can go through all this stuff, and it happens in a second. And that's how the brain, can slow down time or interpret time. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually not a fan of cannibalists in a way. I don't really do that.
Cannibalists. You're so much not a fan of cannibalists. You call it cannibalists.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. I just call it weed. But I don't like, I'm just not a fan. I've done it a couple of times, but I never really like the feeling of it. I feel like
it's weird.
I feel like my intuition gets blocked, and that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel very like not myself, and like other people have different reactions where like it actually calms them or it helps them a lot. But I feel like for me, it's not really something I like to do.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore, and maybe every once in a great while, because one of the main reasons is because the vibration. So I don't drink because it lowers your vibration. I mean, again, I'll have a glass of something every once in a while, but generally I don't, right? And the same thing is true of cannabis. Cannabis will actually raise your vibration if your vibration is lower than that of the plant, but it will lower your vibration if your vibration is higher than that of the plant. So once you get into like a very high vibrational state and you're talking to the extra dimensional collectives or whatever, then you probably don't really want to do it all that much because it's going to pull you back down.
Maybe that's what happens to me. It's been like, I think, over a year since I had like a little bit, but even like one or two puffs, I'm just like, oh, like, I don't know. I feel like it just blocks my channels, and it's just like, I really just don't like it. Even with, alcohol, like once in a while I'll have it too, just to like let loose and like, just like dance a little bit or something. But heavy drinking, I got tired of that a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh,
and I'm only 27, so
right.
I feel like I lived between my 20s and my 23 when I was 23. Like, I was like, let me experience everything and see if I even like it.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. And so anyway, back to this whole time thing and procrastination. So we both deal with procrastination. I know we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
And so many people do. And I have a lot of people asking me about it generally, especially when they've been in my class for a little bit. They're getting over their negative entity attachments. They're feeling a whole heck of a lot better. And yet they're still finding that, oh, you know what? I'm still not really, motivated to do a bunch of stuff. And so, it is common. And, as I said in the video, my happy place is accomplishing things. I know yours is too. Like, you love to paint, right? And you love that experience, the moment of painting. And I'm the same way. All the creative endeavors that I do, I love doing those things. Nonetheless, I will come to situations where I can't even do the thing that I love to do. I just am maybe burnt out of it. I'm sick of it. I just, and in those cases, most of the time, the only thing that I can really do is like wait it out in that very specific situation, because I know I'll get back to it. And so I know that this experience is temporary. So now maybe I can laze about a little bit, watch some shows on Netflix or some documentaries or something like that, and that eventually it'll come back around. That's not usually the common experience that people who have procrastination issues run into. They're more like, I can't do anything. I can't do the laundry. I can't call my mom. I can't do anything. And that is definitely a challenge. And there are a number of different little tricks and techniques that I talk about in the video. But, all that said, I still don't have like the magical solution. It is one of those really challenging ones for many people. And there's some activations in that video that work on me, which is kind of fun. Like I have to listen to my own activations, of course, because I'm listening to my video to make sure there's no audio issues or whatever. And that one, this is the second video I've made like this. I listened to my own activations last night, and I got up today like, yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff today. Like I feel it every time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, not all the activations have that much of an impact on me. They, you know what I mean? That's like this activation works for this person and this activation works for that person. For whatever reason, those activations really work on me.
Mm-hmm. Just want to let you know, when I yawn, I don't really yawn. I yawn. I've noticed like I get like information when I yawn. It's almost like my form of like channeling. So
interesting. Yeah.
Just FYI. Sometimes I'm just like trying not to yawn because like I'm getting like information and I'm just like, oh God, like it looks like I'm like being bored or something.
Oh wow. Okay, cool. That is really good to know, actually.
I noticed this past like 2 weeks. I was like, why do I yawn? Like whenever I like give someone like energy healing, I'm like, I like literally hear a voice and it's just like rah, rah, rah. So
interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm not apologizing, but I'm just giving you a heads up in case you're like, why is she yawning? Like
apology not accepted, Monika. Apology not accepted. No, that's great. That's cool.
Anyways, I feel like there's like different forms of procrastination because like I had a very long week this past week because I had an event. And on Saturday after the event, I was just so tired from it. And like I had other things I needed to keep doing, like stuff for my website and just stuff for like this next upcoming week. But my body was like, no, like, no. And it like found like this new show on like Netflix, this like show on Netflix. It was called Shadow Bone. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it was very interesting about like it was like two societies of like people that are normal and people that have like kind of like healing powers, and like they were like more like people were trying to like kill them because you don't want witches essentially.
Right, of course.
But there was
fear.
Fear and stuff. But like there's this huge like dark cloud, and so one of the characters she's like called like the sun summoner or something like that, so she can summon light from her power. And I got so into the show, so like I binged it within like Saturday and Sunday, but I feel like my body just needed it just to like calm down from all of the hectic stuff that I was doing. It wanted to catch up, like my sleep wanted to catch up. So I feel like there's like different forms of procrastination. It like it varies. But then when you have people that say like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I feel like there's still like there's a deeper underlining like factor other than calling it procrastination. And I wouldn't even call it I wouldn't even call it laziness either. I feel like there's definitely like a sadness or like something within that's not allowing you to move forward or to do your normal like habits in a way. But I feel like it's still like a phase that you should be aware of and that you should be learn to just accept and be okay with it, because it could just be making you have your little epiphany or have your little moment of or spark of moment when it comes.
Yeah, what you're saying is totally right, and it's something I teach all the time to my students, and that is that when you're having a problem, whatever it is, maybe you're in a state of loneliness or you're in a state of anxiety or whatever, and then you have frustration over loneliness or frustration over anxiety. In this case, what you just said is essentially you maybe be frustration over procrastination, right? And so now you're not helping yourself, you're just making it worse because you already are procrastinating, and then you're frustrated over the fact that you're procrastinating. So the first thing to do is, of course, like you said, accept that, yes, I'm in a state of procrastination. I feel unmotivated. So, but that's okay. I accept that I feel that way. It's normal for humans to feel this way. I am I'm not some sort of aberration. Lots of people experience this, and that's fine. And then, and I do the walking up the chart technique because the next one is optimism. I am optimistic that this is going to pass. I'm sure it will. I'm not going to be like this for the rest of my life. And then you can be excited over, oh boy, one day I am going to be motivated again. That'll be fun. That'll be exciting. I look forward to that day. And maybe you can move into gratitude and say, oh, I'm grateful that I'm having this kind of procrastination, lazy experience, because maybe I work too hard, or maybe I deserve a break, or maybe this is a great lesson for me to learn patience, or, you know, on and on. So all these sorts of things really contribute to being able to handle really any situation. We just used the example of procrastination.
Yeah. I mean, I even had it too this past like couple months where like I like couldn't even like, I used to run like quite regularly and I liked it. But then for some time, like I stopped maybe for a solid, maybe 2 or 3 months. And I couldn't wrap my head around to like, why did I stop? Like, why didn't I want to do it? Cause I was like painting a lot and just so immersed in that, but I kind of like forgot about myself. And then eventually I like finally went for a run and it just felt so good. And it's like, all I needed was just that one moment to like remind me of like, oh, like this actually makes me feel really good. And
right.
Like I needed to take that break, you know, it was a good solid 2 to 3 months. But in that moment, like I returned back to the present stage and it filled me up even more than if I had been doing it regularly. So even like procrastination is almost like a healing tool because there's something to be learned from it or something to experience in order to, you know, move forward in, you know, evolving as a person.
Yeah.
Or then it's, or you could just gain like a new appreciation for the things. Like if you didn't do your laundry for a solid 2 weeks, then you're going to be like, oh, folding laundry is so cool. I love the scent from washing my clothes. And then you're just going to get reminded to do it more regularly because it's something that, you know, gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
Right. Yeah, I really like that because you get so used to doing something, it becomes an old hat, it's normal. It's like, yeah, I'm doing the laundry, okay. And then you go, F this, I don't want to do the laundry anymore. And you don't do it for a couple of weeks. And then you come back to it and you're like, oh, right. You know, there are actually benefits to this, but I just got so used to it. I didn't even think about that anymore. So you need that contrast. And that's true for so many different things. So one of the things I talk about in the video too is ADD, because thanks to modern medicine, we have started to diagnose ADD over the last 20 or 30 years. When I was a kid, that did not exist yet. And so as a kid, who are the kids that get diagnosed with ADD? The ones that can't pay attention in school, or that can't do their homework, or don't feel motivated to do their homework, right? Well, that's a lot of people. We don't want to do that. We don't want to pay attention. We don't want to do our homework. That was always the case in my class. And so what that is, I feel like, is it's an indication that you're not doing your life's purpose. You're not doing the thing that you're really here to do. You are forcing yourself, or trying to force yourself, to do something that is outside of your highest excitement, that is outside of your synchronistic path. So when I work with people that say, hey, I've got ADD, can you get rid of it for me? I go, well, no, it's actually something that you're supposed to have. And it's not a disease. It is an indication, and you can use it to help guide you. And look at me, I'm transitioning to the other topic, which was how to make a difficult decision. And that is very simple and basic, right? And that is simply, imagine that you could clone yourself. One version of you does one option on your decision tree, and the other version of you does the other option on your decision tree. Let's say you're about to move to a new state, or you're trying to decide if you should take a new job or whatever, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should leave this job or if I should stay at this job, right? So you clone yourself, and one version of you does one, and one version of you does the other. Then the question is simply, which one would you be most jealous of? And that helps you realize where your true passion lies, because sometimes we're not sure, and we're distracted by responsibility. Well, I shouldn't lose my current job. I mean, I've worked here for a while. I have a great boss. I have a great setup. You know, maybe I'm not as motivated as I was before, but it's good money. It's going to pay my bills. It's going to help my kids. It's going to, whatever your reasoning is, but it's not your true passion. and your passion is your guidance system to a synchronistic life.
Yeah, that's good. Like I like the whole. I think you've told me that one too about the envisioning two of yourselves and being jealous of the other. I've definitely used that tactic, and then I've definitely not followed through with the one that I was jealous with. But I feel like it's like almost not like paradoxical, but like any decision that you make is going to be the right one, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't be too involved with what the future will bring, but really
Right.
just noticing how you are in the present state. Like if you're unhappy, then what's one thing that you can do today to maybe, shift yourself? And I've been teaching meditations regularly now, and one of the main things that I do is tell people to like first find your happy place. And once you can be there where you feel safe and secure, like notice how you feel then. And like when something is troubling you during your day, you can go there to that same spot too in your mind. Because I think like your mind doesn't know the difference between what's actually happening, what's happening in your mind. It's the same thing with
Right.
when you're doing like the affirmations of like, raising your vibration. I feel like it's the same tactic of just going into your happy place. And once you're there more and more, you're going to realize that where you're at in the present state isn't really making you happy. So then following through with making those little tiny changes to get yourself there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I like that you said that every decision that you make is going to be the right one. That's that true perfection that I talk about, and we talked about a little bit last week. Is that every decision that you make will always get you to where you're supposed to be. Yeah. And if that is the case, then the method for choosing should be what's the one that makes you the happiest. What's the one that is your passion, and that technique of being able to, choose based on, oh, that's the one I'd be most jealous of, so I should just go do that, is even more buoyed by what you just said, by the idea that, yeah, everything you do is the right one. And so it goes back to our little tagline that you know everything, right? You already know everything. You have access to all that knowledge. So you can't do anything wrong.
And it's also just like building that trust within yourself that you're going to make the right decision, or because you chose to do this, there's always going to be something that comes out of it, whether it's that you're supposed to meet someone or that, it's going to take you to the next level of your career. But there's always I wouldn't call it a silver lining, but there's always a good thing in the decision that you make, even if it is something completely negative, or even if it's completely, out of your control. But there's always something, because your intuition is always guiding you, even if it is the so-called wrong decision. Like, oh, like it's easy to say that term, like, oh, I should have tried that, or I should have done that. But that's just like your ego telling you like you've done something wrong. But really your intuition is like in the back of your head, be like, no, you're doing right, because I'm going to steer you in a different way and to get you to the point that you were supposed to be. So it's almost like this beautiful like game, or this beautiful like labyrinth that you're trying to get out of, but really it's just enjoying the process instead of being like
burdened,
feeling guilty about it within yourself.
Imagine that you really truly walked around knowing, truly deeply knowing that every decision that you make is the right one. Like, imagine what that would feel like. It would feel so freeing. It would feel so empowering. And to just know that, to absolutely know, because right now we're saying it, right? And it's like, yeah, they're saying things I like to hear, somebody watching, right? They're saying things that I like to hear. I hope they're right. It would be nice if they were right. I don't know for sure if they're right, but it sounds so great, right? No, none of that. For absolute fact that every decision that you make will change your life in a fantastic way. It'll be beautiful. It'll be perfect. It'll be right.
Yeah.
What a wonderful life that would be. So just live that. You can do that right now. You can walk around knowing that everything you do is the right answer, is the right choice. So just do it.
Are we ending the podcast early?
Yep. And we're out. Dropping mic. Boom.
So what was your second video about? Because you said you
I just talked about it. It was the decision, making a difficult decision. Because I've never made a video about that. We've talked about it on here, and I talk about it to people all the time. But I realized, that would be kind of a fun one. It was super short, because it's like, imagine you can clone yourself. It's really easy.
Oh, it was about that. Okay.
Yeah. So that was why I was saying that I did that transition to get to it.
Oh, because I didn't know the second topic, so I didn't catch it.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, that's right. No, you didn't. Now I remember that. Now you know.
I think I should just stick with the transition making since I know. I'm aware of that one topic.
I see. I'm being ousted from the segue person. My one attempt was a fail.
Yeah, because it didn't work. I didn't catch on. But nice try. Good try.
Thanks.
So do you use that cloning thing often on yourself, or is that something that you just kind of do second nature? Or
yeah, it's more second nature now. I don't have to do it very often. I'm sure I do it on occasion, but yeah, because I pretty much just follow my excitement, because I have lots of decisions that I make all the time that are fairly large because I'm traveling all the time, right? Like, where do I want to go? Well, do I want to go over here, or do I want to go over there? Do I want to visit this person, or do I want to visit that person? And then I'm just following my highest excitement with that.
So did you go sightseeing? Did you see anything interesting, or have any like revelation? What are they called? Revelations while you were driving?
This time coming up here, no. I pretty much just came straight up here because I didn't have as much time to dilly-dally as I did from LA to San Francisco. But I've already, gotten to drive around a little bit. I've already crossed over the border to Washington because I didn't realize that Portland was right on the border of Oregon and Washington. So I jumped over there yesterday and filmed another video that'll come out next week in front of a waterfall, assuming the audio turned out okay. We'll see if it did. If it's just like, blah, 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 blah. Well, I haven't listened to the audio yet to see if you can even hear me, but hopefully it's good.
She'll be entertaining. I'll make sure to watch that one if you post
it. Oh, and my roommate who I'm staying with right now, she went with me, and she had an extra camera, so she did like moving around and looking at the waterfall and looking at me all at the same time, so I can cut to other shots. So it'll be more of an interesting video potentially.
Could be more engaging or more visually pleasing.
Right.
Keeping everybody active.
Just looking at camera. Hello. Listen to me.
Oh, clearly you didn't procrastinate with making more videos.
No, it's Wednesday is video making day, and I don't set up any appointments or absolutely anything. And that's one of those things. If you can, let's say you don't already have a schedule in your life, right? And you've got, especially because of COVID, a lot of people don't now. Like, they don't have to work, the same schedule 9 to 5 every Monday through Friday. So if you've got the freedom or the ability to do anything you want on any particular day, then creating a schedule does really help, because my video releases are on Thursday, so Wednesday is video day, and since I try to go into nature and take shots that are interesting, I get to spend the day exploring or whatever, thinking about what my topics are going to be, going to different locations and filming them. And so every Wednesday is fun day for me now. It's like, yay, I get to go exploring in nature and make my video. Whereas when I first started doing it and I was just standing in a room taking video of myself, it was like, blech, I don't want to do this. I'm bored. So that's another aspect too, is to make the thing that you don't want to do more fun somehow. And that is actually easier than you might think.
So when because I saw you did one by the ocean, and now you did one by the waterfall, and like I know you always do it you had a few in the desert too. Do
Mhm.
you feel that, you make up your content at home and then you go film it? Do you feel it ever changes because you step into nature, maybe a new idea comes through?
So my process has changed quite a bit. So if you
Mm.
were to watch some of my older videos, it was all pre-written, and so I
Mm.
was kind of reciting and remembering what I had written. Sometimes I'd even read it if I was
Yeah.
just narrating. Now I go into the spot just with a general idea of what the topic's going to be and start
Mhm.
talking. So now, yes, I do feel like the environment changes what I'm going to say
Mhm.
way more than it used to. Whereas, I would have it all printed out, and I'd even like stick it on the tripod on the camera and try
Mhm.
to, read like, what am I saying next? Oh, right. So I've really loosened up with all of that, and that comes with practice. I've been doing these for over a year now.
Yeah. And then since I'm like more connected with the ocean, or at least I feel like can channel better when I'm near the ocean, do you have a certain area in nature that helps you or that you feel more connected with than the other?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't noticed that. No, I think they're
Mm.
all kind of amazing and unique in their own ways. And yeah, I get a lot more interaction with animals. I find because I'm in these nature places, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like there was one. Sometimes I try to put those in like the outtakes, because I had one where a Roadrunner like jumped out at me and it went flapping, and it was right behind me, and I put that. It was one of the negative entity attachment videos. I put it at the very end. Yeah, it was like a negative Roadrunner attachment. And anyway, there was one where I think I was doing, I do my thumbnails, and my thumbnails are all goofy and weird, and I,
Yeah.
do funny stuff with that. There was one, I was in the desert on a mountain, and I was doing something with, doing this, and I heard this giant insect. I mean, it was the loudest, craziest, giantest insect I'd ever heard, and it came right up to me. And it scared me enough that, I'm doing this, that I went like, oh my gosh, like, put my arm down. Well, I hit it like when I put my arm down, and I
Oh.
looked, but it kept flying. It left. It was a hummingbird. It was
Oh my
not an
god.
insect. If you've ever been close enough to a hummingbird, it
Mhm.
sounds like a helicopter. Like because those wings are beating so fast, and they're fairly large compared to an insect, right?
Mhm.
So poor hummingbird, I like whacked him over the head with my arms, and I was wearing an orange jacket, my orange jacket.
Oh, it
So
thought it was a
it was.
flower.
It thought I was a giant flower. Like, come get my nectar.
Do you ever like after that happens, do you ask that animal like what it was, why it showed up, or like the meaning behind it, or do you go look up the meaning behind that bird or the animal that pops up for you?
No,
No.
no to all that.
Why
See,
not?
well, okay, so I spent most of my life as a science believer, right? I was not into the spiritual world at all. And, I was raised by scientists. I always like to say that, right? And so I did not think of symbolism. I just saw things as coincidence, right? And so it wasn't until I had my ayahuasca experience, not there really that long ago, like, less than 10 years ago, that it opened me up to the idea of all this. So I don't default to thinking that way, right? I'm
Hmm.
still defaulting to thinking the old way. Oh, that was just a hummingbird that thought that I was a flower. Yep, moving on, right? But
Hmm.
you're right. It could be that there is more symbolism there, and I often just forget to look into it.
Oh, yeah, no, that's like I think I'm just really connected with animals, and now I'm always like if I see something new, or like if like an animal pops up on like my Instagram or something, I'm like, "Oh, why are you here? Like, what are you gonna tell me?" Or
Yeah,
even
I
like
really like that.
like
I
even
do really.
in my dreams too, it's like whenever I have an animal, I'll usually like try to like look it up, or I'll even ask it when I wake up. I'm like, "Why were you here?"
Yeah, no, I really do like that, and you look it up, and it turns out that it's about procrastination, like it can be about the thing that you're
Mhm.
dealing with at that time.
Yeah.
And so it gives you extra insight as to, because then maybe it gives you some like some advice, in the
Mhm.
thing, or you can infer some advice from it and it can change your life. And so for those that are watching that definitely believe in all of that, then it is an absolute synchronistic experience. If there's
Mhm.
anybody who's watching who doesn't believe in that, it doesn't matter, because it still brings you something that
Mhm.
you can use to better your life.
And the most important part was that it brought you back to the present state, because that humming, maybe you were thinking about something, maybe you were doing something so immersed that you kind of like forgot about your surroundings. But this hummingbird, or this, what was
The Roadrunner.
the Roadrunner, like you have things like coming at you, maybe because they're just trying to like shake you up or like come back to the present state.
Right.
But either way, like there's definitely, like, that's a huge message. A Roadrunner, like.
I know. Well, but I mean, I was in Albuquerque and I was seeing them all the time, so they were very
Hmm.
commonplace. But yeah, it was super unique, and
I'm just thinking of like the Looney Tunes of like the Tasmanian devil,
yeah,
like
exactly, yeah,
freaking
yeah,
out.
yeah. Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. Yeah, yeah, I was
Mhm.
in. Yeah, good old Albuquerque. Yeah, it's kind of funny because you probably watched the Bugs Bunny cartoons, right? He
Yeah.
would say, "I made a left turn at Albuquerque," right?
Oh, I
That
don't
was
remember
one of
that
his
one.
weird things that he said, like
Mm.
Albuquerque, like he would say it like that every time. And then there's Roadrunner. So I'm like, okay, so whoever wrote those cartoons must have lived in Albuquerque as part of
Oh,
their, and so they're pulling from those
elements.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, usually, like all comedians, they do pull from their own life, so I feel like that's what makes it relatable and funny.
Yeah, most certainly.
Mm.
Oh man. Okay, so there was something that you were talking about that was really good. Right. So there is this video, that this YouTube video, but it was a Comedy Central
Mm.
skit, and it's by this guy who does music videos, and so he sings and he does all this stuff, and this is already like 9 or 10 years old, maybe 8 or 9 years old,
Hmm.
this Comedy Central YouTube video, and it's about a guy who spills like Monster Energy drink on his laptop, and he ruins it. But because of these weird things that happen to him, the laptop hits singularity. It becomes self-aware, and that's the title. My laptop has become self-aware, and about halfway through this video. Now this video, mainstream, right? Millions and millions of peoples have watched this.
Yeah.
It was on Comedy Central. Halfway through, the guy does DMT, and then the Anunnaki come, and he has this interaction with the Anunnaki from another dimension. And I just was reminded of this yesterday, and I showed it to my friend here, and it's just one of those things that we're starting to see more and more of this spiritual world entering into mainstream. And that was just, one of the
Yeah.
many. And that's exciting, right? Like we can really sink our teeth into that and go, woo, we're seeing a lot of great stuff happening more and
Mhm.
more now. And I think there's more. And I was trying to remember. There's a show that was popular a couple of years ago called New Amsterdam. I don't know if you heard
Mhm.
about it. It was on a major network, and
No.
it was about a hospital that was taken over by a guy. Kind of was the wrong guy to be the general manager of the hospital, and
Mhm.
he was just like a surgeon, and he got thrust into this role that it wasn't quite right for him. But he went around, he like fired the whole cardiology department on his first day because he determined that they were scheduling unnecessary surgeries. And so he was recognizing and realizing that our hospital system, our medical system is just about making money as opposed to actually helping people. And that, so throughout the show, he did all kinds of things that were very against the pharmaceutical industry and the medical community. And so, more and more like enlightenment is showing up in entertainment. And that is extremely exciting. And there, like I said, there's more and more that's happening all the time.
Yeah, I really liked the shift in that, because even like the show that I was just binging, like it had a lot of good messages, and I feel like the more things I kind of pick, maybe because I'm just energetically picking them, like it's like unintentionally that it's going to be something good, but it turns out to be like something really like, eye-opening, or just like, oh, I needed to hear this little line. Like in the show that I was watching, like the girl was like beginning to develop her power, and like the lady that she was seeing to help, that was going to help her, she was like, come back when you're like more ready, or when you finally accept that you have this power. And I'm just like, oh my God, like that makes so much sense. Like I just need to accept myself that I have this power within me, and then it's just going to get even bigger and stronger, and like all I have to do is just accept that this is me. And it's like crazy how like just this one line like gave me so much more like motivation, I guess, in a way, or just more like, yeah, I do need to own up to myself, or I do need to like, talk about like this energy stuff that I'm working with, or when I'm painting, because it's like truly beautiful and truly remarkable. But the more I hide it, or the more I don't talk about it, then other people aren't going to know. And I feel like that's maybe what a lot of these like producers or movie people are leaning more towards, because they're trying to show people more than what the news is giving people, which is that fear base. But I feel like a lot of these shows are just trying to help you just open your mind, or help you question what's actually really happening. Even that hospital thing, like a lot of people probably never knew that, the hospitals are just, taking money from you,
right,
versus trying to help you.
Right.
So like that could have helped whoever was watching it, but they're reaching millions of people. And if it just takes one person to spark an idea to whatever, I feel like that show did enough, because it helped that one person.
Right. It's helping especially the younger generation, because if they're tuning into it, they're going to be the hospital general managers in the future, and they're going to be the CEOs of the future. And so they're going to carry this with them. And there was a wonderful Disney movie that and Pixar Disney movie that my friend here who just introduced me to yesterday or the day before, and it's called Soul, Soul. And it's about a disembodied soul who's trying to figure out how to get back to his body. And he was a blues musician, so that's why soul had the double meaning thing going on, right? And so it was really great, because it introduced, I mean, there was some kind of weirdnesses about the way that the post-life experience worked, but it was still really great, because it helped. The main message was live in the moment and enjoy everything exactly as it is. So some really great stuff really continues to come out, and I think more and more of that is going to be true. And I might have mentioned this before, but there is a friend of mine who wrote a nonfiction book, and she took it to a not an editor, but an agent, and she read the book and said, "Oh, it's fantastic! It's wonderful." The problem is it's not a spiritual book, and the reason that that's a problem is because nonfiction books, the only ones that are selling right now, are spiritual. So, wow, that's quite the transformation. Like that was not the case not that long ago. Like a couple of years ago, that was not the case. So we're really seeing a huge transition happening.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like spiritual books were like the only ones that I actually really got into. It was dragon books for me and spiritual books, and I hated reading, but something about just reading other people's journeys with spirituality was just very fascinating for me. It was almost like I was looking for just like clues or ways to relate to others in a different, in that sense for me. And that was when I was like 16, 17, I was reading those.
What did you say was the first type? Did you say dragon?
Dragons, yeah. I only read dragon books when I was like Yeah.
what I mean, I don't even actually know what a dragon book is. I have an idea, but I've never heard of dragon books like said like that.
There's like Aragon. You ever heard of Aragon? It was like a
Yeah.
trilogy of like dragons. So it was just like a dragon kingdom.
Were all the
Then
characters actually dragons?
no, it's a human, and then they have their own dragon type of thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Where
Yeah.
it's just like a storyline where there's like dragons essentially.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. What attracted you to that, do you think?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. And it's interesting because I did one of those energy portraits on myself, and I saw a dragon. So maybe there's a
Uh-huh.
symbolism where I can draw in like dragon energy, or maybe like they're trying to communicate with me. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I remember when I was first kind of learning about all the different spirit guides that you can have. And I ran into a person who was going through their guides. They knew who they all were. And then they hit
mhm.
Merlin. And I was like,
Mm,
Merlin, right? Merlin is a
yeah.
fictional character, right? Like, why? How could you have Merlin as your spirit guide?
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't totally know the answer to that, but I thought that it was interesting. And other people have mentioned that they work with dragons for sure. Like that is a common energy type or a common
Yeah.
spirit guide type.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some thoughts on that?
Well, there was my friend sent me this huge website where this lady has like tons of activations of like different like guides, and there was a big section about dragons, but she advised to like pick one that I normally don't like that I normally wouldn't just pick just, oh, this is so cool, because I totally would have picked a dragon one, but because I'm so into them, like she thinks that I already have that within me that I wouldn't really
Yeah.
need to get the activation for. And
Oh, I see.
I'm working on another painting where I'm like asking the energy that I'm working with like what it is, and like it's helping me form like an abstract form, and I totally felt tons of dragons like in it. And then what I want to do next is actually like start like channeling and like writing down what the painting means and what the energy of that painting is, because it could be something really healing for a certain someone, or maybe I'm channeling like a kingdom or like a certain different species. So I'm like curious to how this like it's more of like really creating like freedom within my creativity of like just really flowing in the moment versus like, oh, I need to draw this wave, like let me just like perfect this wave, but actually just flowing with the moment in a way.
Okay, yeah. And then it just kind of hit me too that there is this truth, and that truth is that if you can think of it, it exists. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything exists in some form or another. There might be an alternative Earth because there's, an unlimited number of Earths, and there's
Mm-hmm.
on some Earths there are no mosquitoes, on which I wish we would have incarnated into.
Yeah.
But then there's some Earths that have already been essentially wiped out through nuclear war or whatever. So
Yeah.
everything exists. So yes, Merlin is a fictional character, but we came up with it, we thought of it, so it
Mm-hmm.
exists. um,
Oh, I always feel that whoever wrote it was definitely like tapping into something where they definitely got the messages or they had a dream about it and they followed through with it. I think that's why I was so drawn to like Avatar or to like other like sci-fi movies. I was really always into sci-fi things because I was just so intrigued by someone's creativity to come up with this.
mhm.
And you just can't make up a whole like language or a whole different dimension just by yourself. There had to be another force to have helped that person. And even if they weren't aware of it, like how much it has impacted everybody else, or how I can feel it, or how you can feel it through these different shows or just different scripts of people. So it's definitely like a spirit or even our own intuition channeling through to for us to experience it. And I always say that your intuition talks to you in music lyrics or in these movie scripts because it's just the way that you can comprehend right now. Like
Mhm.
maybe later down the line, she'll start giving you messages on your own. But right now, you just need to hear it in a physical, like 3D form, which is a movie or a lyric or through a conversation with someone. So there's always, again, that perfect decision of of making, because you turn on this show or you turn on this movie, or you were
Right.
so gravitated to this person to have this conversation, is because there was that spark to your next moment.
Right. Yeah. And, I'm, of course, writing a comic book that I'm getting turned into a TV series. And it is all about this topic, but it's also written for the masses. So it's not necessarily spiritually laden. Anybody could find it entertaining. So I find that I watch an awful lot of fiction that is based on some of the concepts that I'm doing, and I don't even know it when I watch it. Like at first, I'm just like, oh, that seems cool, and then halfway through, I go, oh, this is why I'm watching this. This has this element and that element. Oh, and I like, even to the point where it's like, oh, I like that camera shot, because I think of it from a creation standpoint. I go, oh, that would be a great way to get this part across in my book. The way they just did that. So there's so many different reasons, and you just have to be open to the possibility of what those reasons might be, instead of just being like, oh, I'm being lazy and I'm just watching entertainment because I can't get motivated to do the thing that I should be doing. Look at all that judgment in that sentence, right?
Yeah.
It's total judgment, instead of enjoying the thing that you have chosen to do instead of the thing that you should do. And what kind of amazing thing are you getting out of it?
Totally. And it is the judgment part that you just need to get over with, because again, you said you chose this, so how to enjoy it even more fully. And it could be just as simple as like seeing that one camera angle of like, oh, I didn't know you can make a transition like that. That just helps spark you to your next moment, because you needed to see this show in order to use that same type of energy that they've created. It has reciprocated to you. It's phenomenal. It's awesome.
So procrastination is judgment.
I don't know. I feel like it isn't, because let's say I procrastinated to watch the show, but this show actually taught me something that I needed to do in order to finish my the thing that I was procrastinating.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I'm just saying that looking at yourself and saying that I am procrastinating is a judgment.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. So that anytime you're like, oh, I hate the fact that I procrastinate so much. Obviously, you hate the fact as a judgment. But then the word procrastinate is essentially you are judging that you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. And, who are you to say that? Which part of your brain is saying that? Is it your just again, I'm bringing it back to our show, which is everything. It's not the everything part. It's the part where you're like, thinking that you're not good enough, or that things aren't good enough, or that, so on.
And yeah, exactly. I had something to say, but it just like,
I know. That's why I kind of stopped, because I was like, oh, she's about to say something. I want to hear what it is. Oh, sorry.
But no, oh yeah. So it's like when you fully surrender to accepting the procrastination, I think that's when the messages happen to what it is that you're doing. Because I think like in the beginning, when I was starting to watch the show on Saturday, I was like, why am I watching this show? I have so much to do. But when I like surrendered and I'm like, no, I need to relax. I need to accept that I'm doing this. That's when like this show just got so much more interesting, and like all these messages started to come through for me. And then as I was watching the show, so it's like that moment of surrender in your procrastination is when you start seeing that like life-changing, I guess, object or thing or sensation. I think it's more of a sensation. It's like a breakthrough. You start to have your breakthrough in the procrastination once you surrender to it.
Right. Yes.
It's a mouthful.
I gotta make another video now. It's gotta be, because this video that I made is all about overcoming procrastination, right? But maybe I need one that is
one to accepting
procrastination. Yeah.
You can credit your co-host for that idea.
Yes. Well, it was a good teamwork effort.
Yeah.
But you definitely uh, gave me some sparks. So that's good.
See, maybe the show it's not necessarily a procrastination from our day, but it's to give us light for what we're supposed to do.
No, that transition didn't work as well, Monika, but I appreciate the effort.
Mm. Okay, well, we're almost out of time here. So
We are, yeah.
We did so great today in talking.
Yes, we did. We did great today in talking. And you had asked me how you can get to my free workshop on negative entities. So there it is. I just sent it out to everybody. That begins in an hour. So if anybody would like to attend, you certainly can. Just sign up there. And what do you got going on? You've got your meditation thing going on, right?
Oh yeah, I have my free meditation tonight, and then it starts up again next week. And then today's finally my painting day because I haven't painted since like last week.
Oh, so wow!
I finally get.
That's why it seemed like so long for you since the last time we talked.
Maybe it could be, huh? So I've been lacking something that I absolutely love to do.
Well, how can people attend your meditation? What's the link for that?
So that's the Island Awakening Ohana group. I don't think there's a specific link, but if you just Google on Facebook, Island Awakening Ohana, OHANA, then it'll pop up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there you go, Facebook group. So that one, I go live 3 times a week. I might be changing it because I think I have something coming up on Thursday evenings. But definitely on Mondays at 8 a.m. Hawaii time, and then Wednesdays at 2:30 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Cool. And then maybe once in a while I'll do another one. But
you have your state has its own time zone. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Hawaii Standard Time.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, it would be fun if my state did, but I don't have a state.
You haven't picked one yet. That's why.
That's right. Yes, that's true.
I didn't know. Apparently Alaska has their own time zone too, and I didn't know.
Oh, do they? Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, because it's not. It seems like that it's closer to Hawaii, but it's not. I think it's like back.
It's like an hour off from me or something like that.
Oh, is it an hour off?
Yeah, I think it's an hour off from me or something. Yeah, but I was like, there's still more things that I don't know.
Oh my gosh, there's more things that you don't know. Oh man, that means you have to learn. You have to keep learning. What a pain in the ass. I'm gonna procrastinate learning more for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody. See you next week. Aloha.
Bye.